Okay, so in this first question, we have to find the zeros direction of opening an equation of axis of symmetry of this equation right over here. So I'm going to start with the zeros. Since this is factored form, I can state my zeros straight away. X equals to 2, x equals minus 4. B part of the question, state the direction of opening. So since it's factored form, I look at the number out here. Since it's negative, it opens downwards. And C part, find the equation of axis of symmetry. If I want to find my equation of axis of symmetry, I just have to find the midpoints of my two zeros. So 2 plus negative 4 over 2, that's my midpoint equation. X1 plus x2 over 2. It's negative 2 over 2, which is negative 1. So the equation of my axis of symmetry is x equals negative 1. Question number 2 tells us to convert these equations to standard form and then find the y-intercept. So this is vertex form right here. The first thing I'm going to do is write that bracket out twice. The next thing that I'm going to do is expand these two brackets by FOIL. So that's going to be x squared plus 3x plus 3x plus 9. I'm going to simplify the inside a bit, so minus 2 x squared plus 6x plus 9 minus 5. Then I'm going to multiply the negative 2 into the bracket. And finally, again, I'm going to combine like terms. And now I can state my y-intercept. If I'm finding my y-intercept, x is 0, so these two terms are going to disappear, and my y-intercept is just going to be negative 23, the constant remaining at the end. Let's do the same for this one over here. I'm going to start with expanding the bracket. So y equals to negative 2, x squared minus 5x plus 3x minus 15. Then I'm going to combine like terms, so y equals minus 2, x squared minus 2x minus 15. Then I'm going to expand, so y equals to negative 2x squared plus 4x plus 30. My y-intercept is just 30. Again, in this third and final question, I'm going to do a couple of things again. Find the direction of opening, the vertex, the equation of axis of symmetry, and then the graph. Now, this first question here, that's both standard form and vertex form. So I can state the vertex straight away. The x value of my vertex is 0. The y value is negative 8. Since the x squared is positive, the direction of opening is upwards. The vertex, like I mentioned, 0 x value, y value negative 8. Axis of symmetry, your axis of symmetry is always the x value of your vertex if you have vertex form, so x equals 0. And then finally, we're going to graph this function. So if I graph this function, my vertex is at 0, negative 8, so down there, negative 8. And I know that this one opens upwards, so it's going to look something like that. Okay, let's try part B. So part B is negative 3x squared plus 5. Again, the same as part A. It's standard form and vertex form. I'm going to prefer the vertex form. So since it's negative 3x squared, it's going to open downwards. Again, the x value of my vertex here is 0. My y value is 5. The x value is always added or subtracted in the bracket. My equation of axis of symmetry again is x equals to 0. If I draw this one, my vertex is at 0, 5, so that's 5 right there. It opens downwards. It's gonna look like that. Okay, let's go to part C. So part C says y equals x plus 2 squared plus 6. This is only vertex form. Since the number out here is positive, it's gonna open upwards. Positive numbers upwards, negative numbers downwards. My vertex, so I have x plus 2 here, so my x value is negative 2, and then just 6. You always flip value of the x. My axis of symmetry is always the x value of my vertex, so x equals minus 2. And my graph, vertex is negative 2 and 6, so that's up there. It opens upwards, so it's going to go in that direction. It's actually going to go through the work, but I'm just going to draw it like that with a really small one. Okay, and basically negative 2, 6 is my vertex. Finally, part D, y equals 5, x minus 3, x plus 7. Now this one is going to be extra steps because this is factored form. Let's start with the direction of opening. My value here is positive, and then when I expand the x squares, that's going to be positive as well, which means that it's going to open upwards. My vertex, if I want to find my vertex, I have to first find my x-intercepts. So my x-intercepts are 3 and negative 7. Then to find the x value of my vertex, I have to find the midpoint of these two. So 3 plus negative 7 over 2, which is negative 4 over 2, which is minus 2. Then I have to sub this back into this equation to find the y value of my vertex. Minus 2 minus 3 minus 2 plus 5. That's 5 times negative 5 times, oops, that's a 7, 5. And if I multiply those out, that's going to be negative 125. So my vertex is negative 2 comma negative 125. Okay, my axis of symmetry is always the x value of my vertex, so x equals negative 2. And finally, I have to graph this. I'm going to graph this one on the same part as C because I don't have space. So my vertex is negative 2, negative 125. So negative 2 is here, negative 125 is all the way somewhere down here. It opens upwards again, so it's going to go U-shaped. And then that point is negative 2, negative 125.